This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
In a world where people all over enjoy bad movies every day, one podcast decides to lower itself enough to admit we kind of like bad movies too. It's Baconsale.
Whoa.
Wow, thank you, Zack.
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel. Good time right now. I'm Kent.
And I'm new. Hi, I'm Zack. Hey,
new. Would you say new?
No, I've been here before.
How many shows would you say you've been on?
4 or 5.
That's a lie.
Every annual show.
You've been the scorekeeper on
That's
a couple
true.
shows.
That's true.
And by the way, a
Mike
scorekeeper
Cropper.
on our weird episodes where we go through a weird adventure.
Yeah, Jacobs makes going on a weird adventure.
I got progressively less important as a scorekeeper when those episodes went on.
By the end, you're like, I'm just here to listen to you, aren't I, Jacob?
But have we ever had you as a guest host?
Yes, we have.
One time.
Episode 166, Cable.
Oh,
IMAX
don't
Racer
say that
Racing.
like you didn't research it right before the show.
Yes, I had one opportunity, but I have never been like a proper like guest on the show, so I have never been asked the standard questions.
Nope.
And I will never
don't do
answer
it.
them. I will never answer them.
He's not going to do
I
it.
have to remain impartial.
Oh, that's true.
Do you?
Yes.
Jacob
Okay.
never did.
Well, he always did. He said, I agree with you this time, and I agree with you this time.
Well, there was that time when he
if
was like,
that's what
I
you
agree
like,
with you, Kent.
If that's your opinion, then some people may like it.
We miss you, Jake.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's not listening.
Thank you guys for the invite. I really appreciate it. I mean, obviously, there's no replacing Jake, but anyway, I'm here.
But we're here. I was going to say we're here in the Bacon Cave. Literally have wiped down everything. Are staying far apart from each other.
Yeah.
Recording at a distance. And we're hoping this is good.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that you installed the same plexiglass that they now have at all the checkout stalls at the grocery store.
Well,
It wasn't very expensive.
No, it's made of diamond.
What?
Yeah, nothing's getting through that. But we'd like to thank you for listening to our last show. Like we said, we want to keep these shows going for as long as possible can, keep you entertained during this time when you're stuck indoors listening.
They're
to
here
things.
for entertainment and then here for us so that we can still talk to each other sometimes.
So while there's crazy stuff going on out in the world, we're going to keep things pretty light and fluffy here in the Bacon Cave. That's
what we do.
That's what we do. But last show we talked about binge watching during quarantine. So keeping it light and fluffy.
All my shows were light and fluffy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Kent. Yeah, everything was dark. Even your comedy was dark. Tyler Harrison said, although you guys have mentioned it in the past and referenced it in the show, I didn't notice an explicit shout out to Community. I'm looking forward to binging it, especially since it will be available on April 1st. And truth be told, by the time you're listening to this, Community is on Netflix.
Oh.
It's about time. Has it ever been
I
on
didn't
Netflix?
know that.
I think
It's been on
for a
Hulu,
time.
obviously.
It was on Prime, maybe? I
No,
don't remember.
I think this is the first time.
Yeah.
But now is the time to watch the show. Absolutely.
Also, Nicole D. Hale said, I love that Jacob mentioned Star Trek Next Gen, but you have to plow through the first season. Another one of those where the first season's not great.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, it gets good when Riker finally gets the beard. So apparently,
facial hair makes the difference.
apparently Riker has a beard.
I love when there are those moments in shows where you can definitively say, here's where to start. For example, you talked about Parks and Rec. Like, I always just tell people, just go to the episode where Rob Lowe shows up. Then you can start from there.
That's the one. Isn't that a little bit late?
That's a little bit later because Greg Pakaitis is my I love.
That's true. That's true. It was a good point. That's true.
Yeah. And then Stephen Ross said, "I love the Top Gear guys. Yes, you three have the same chemistry." So
so you were right.
That was a good take.
Thank
that
you.
really
Zach,
was.
have you seen the show?
Yeah.
Do I need to? Would I like the show?
It's a buddy cop comedy.
I think
it's
you'd
not
like
a car show.
The thing is, I think you'd like the parts, like clips I sent you, because, like I said, it's a great background show.
Okay.
So
just 30 seasons, no big deal.
But that's just it. You just put it on the background and do whatever, and it just keeps going and going and going.
The challenges are why you go. And then just like pretty pictures of cars, and then the cool challenges.
Yeah. And then Brandon James Gehrig, he added to that, and he said, I second Steven, and yes, the chemistry checks out. So apparently with that. And then finally, I wanted to read this one here. This is from Effie Johnson Van Noy. She said, a really great kid show to binge is Bluey on Disney+. My 4-year-old giggles more when she watches that show than any other. A small caveat, it made me feel totally inadequate in my ability to play make-believe with my kids. So,
well, that's why you're having them watch TV, so it kills that drive to do any make-believe. So thank you, TV, and thank you, binge watching.
I just want to make sure we get a couple kid recommendations out there, because I realize a lot of people are going to have to watch a lot of shows with their kids. And so the more we get out there.
Frozen 2, again and again.
And my favorite, I hate to say pick a favorite comment, but this definitely was the one that made me laugh the hardest. And it was Stephen Ross who said, how did Kent make the mainstream pick still hipster? I love the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Is that hipster?
It totally is.
It's one of the most recognized shows of all time.
But I think it's not anymore.
It's because people aren't cultured enough to watch it.
The only time people are watching it nowadays is when it's on Sci-Fi on New Year's
on the
Eve.
marathon.
And so it's all-day marathon.
But
catch one
it's
episode.
on every streaming service. Watch
but
it
it's
now.
still hipster because, Kent, it's black and white. It's old. It's like people being like, "Oh, you watched old Cheers," and I'm like, "Yeah, you should see what Kent's watching."
Okay, still watch it.
Yeah,
become an elitist like me.
But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
Today, we're talking about our favorite movies that scored kind of low on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter.
Yes.
Hold on, did we just get an actual description of what the show is going to be about? We miss you, Jake.
He's not listening. But
He's definitely not
We got
listening.
this idea from Jordan Rexick. It was his patron idea, actually.
Yeah.
He said,
great idea.
So here it is, a top 10 list of movies that each of you actually enjoy, and I would love to hear some Jacob picks. Sorry, Jordan, you're going to get Zach picks.
Yeah.
That all have 50% or lower rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Another twist is that they could be ranked as number 10 being the closest to 50% and number 1 being closest to 0%.
So it's not as if it's our favorite bad movie of all time.
We're not putting the building up to our favorite.
It's to just the lowest. It's like a golf score. We're going for the lowest score for our number one.
We're going to get down to the lowest score we have. And he said 10 here, but we were like, oh, if there's 3 of us, 10 is a lot. So we were going to do 6, but we realized that would be 6, 6, 6.
Yeah, it's a bad time to really summon anything.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Not
So
messing with that.
we did 7. We did 7 each.
Yeah.
So we each have 7 picks, and ranging in score from how high did you guys go?
Higher than you. I went 40% would be my highest one.
Wow.
Zach, what about you? What's your highest
I
rate?
started below 50, but I have a fair amount in like the 20s region.
Okay.
So,
And Joel?
My highest is 22%.
Wow.
whoa.
Oh, who's hipster now?
I'm not hipster. I just have bad taste in movies, apparently.
Well, we knew that.
Well, like most of these are like before the time that Rotten Tomatoes was created, so they're retroactively rated.
Yeah,
with
which was
very few
1998
ratings.
was when it was created.
Well, here's the thing. Like, for example, listener, if you don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is, they take a bunch of scores that people submit,
Yeah.
and put them
As an aggregate
score of like, okay, this is a positive review, this is a negative review, this has more positive than negative, ergo
Yes.
this is blank percent.
Deceptive methodology, sure.
But let's say that someone goes back and watches, in an imaginary world, someone goes back and watches Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
And there's one person on there and he says, this is a terribly boring, long movie, negative review.
Mm-hmm.
That now has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, crazy, right?
And let's say like 5 people go back there and say they don't like it. But one person says they like it. It's now at like 5%. So you get good movies, but they're just rated wrong because they have not a lot of reviews.
Someone, probably the staff at Rotten Tomatoes, are finding these reviews or they're being submitted and they're making those now canon for the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
And a lot of these movie choices that we may choose, maybe half of them on each our list, maybe all of them on Joel's, were probably 80s or 90s movies before Rotten Tomatoes ever existed. And now you probably have anywhere from 150 to 250 critic reviews for each new movie.
Right.
A lot of these movies we'll talk about may have around 30 because it was before that day.
And the other thing I want to point out too is it's not very easy to find just a list of all the movies that are on Rotten Tomatoes from 100% to 0%.
Yeah.
But Kent found a very handy list that just kind of had
Not fully comprehensive, by the way.
no. So that's what I wanted to point out is this is not like we scoured the web and
There's probably some
looked
we're
at all the
forgetting.
movies. Yeah, and there's probably some we're forgetting. So if you know of one that ranks lower but is still a good movie, let us know.
I hate doing a show on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't want to belabor the point that I've talked about in every single episode of Baconsale.
Yep.
But they essentially choose for 50% of the reviews that come in don't have a rotten or fresh rating that the critic sends in. The staff at Rotten Tomatoes chooses.
Yeah.
And Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Fandango, which is there to sell movie tickets.
Well, and I became very disillusioned with Rotten Tomatoes when they suddenly decided that
Captain Marvel stuff?
Well, when user reviews just kind of got pushed aside, they're like, okay, where'd you buy your movie ticket? Prove that you saw this movie. And I'm like, why would I rate it?
They took away.
They erased 50,000 want to see scores for Captain Marvel because at a low want to see score, and then they got rid of want to see altogether after that, and then they took away you had to buy a ticket through them to ever add a user review, like you said.
Well, it's like if you put your review on there, you can put a review on there, but it's just going to be hidden.
It won't be seen
unless you are like buy it from an approved source. Because like I'll watch something on streaming and then I'll go, okay, I'm going to put a review on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like, where'd you buy your ticket? And I'm like, other, because it was at home. It wasn't at Fandango and it's like Fandango and then Cinemark coming soon.
Yes,
AMC coming soon. Like, and then they have other, and I click that every time, and I'm like, my review's never going to be shown.
And at this point, they're only erasing review bombs. So negative user reviews, they keep the shills on the site. So they think, oh, no one will give a fake positive review. Even though in previous shows, I've read a lot of Russian reviews that you can tell are not really, English is not the first language, or it's a bot.
That's what's annoying too, is a lot of people are like, don't judge a book before its cover on these movies. How dare you? It's going to be the best movie ever. How dare you judge this movie before it comes out? It's going to be so great. I'm like,
5 stars.
You're giving it a positive review before seeing it? That's just as bad as giving it a negative review before seeing it. Or not bad. I actually think it's fine. People can say they're going to hate a movie. People
Have
can say they're going to love a movie.
It's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But they don't want that. They don't want negative that.
Right. But what we're doing here is we're not saying these are the greatest movies. Some of them we'll defend to the death. But these are our favorite low-scoring movies on Rotten Tomatoes.
My process was to go through the list that Ken sent. It was just this random, like...
I went through like the 10s to the 20s.
It's like
20s,
www.cs.ubc.ca.
Good site.
There's other stuff after that. Don't just type that in. They'll just take you to some university, whatever site. But I went through and I just started at the bottom and I scrolled up until I saw a movie and I went, that shouldn't be on there. Oh, crap, I better add it.
But there were some you knew should be on there, right?
Yeah, like Batman and Robin was on there. And I was
course.
like... It was one of the, I can't remember how. Actually, I should know how much it was. It was
Probably
like
in the
17% or something like that.
Oh, it's that low.
I'm very aware. Where that one
save
is.
it because we'll be talking about these movies, Joel.
Well, yeah, but it was more along the lines of I saw that and went, yeah, it kind of belongs there. But there was literally ones on here where I went, no, that doesn't belong in here, and that's how I compiled my list.
Oh, there's not a single one that I thought, oh no, that shouldn't be there. They were all like, that's pretty bad. I like that movie.
So, Zach, speaking
Couple
of
those.
do you want to get us started on your 7th pick?
Absolutely. So
Tell us where it stands.
Once again, these are not in order. These are not in order of preference.
Descending
these are in
order.
of score.
These are order of score. So I counted both the tomato meter, the number of reviews, the audience score, and I actually threw in the IMDb score for fun.
Take it easy. It's not the IMDb show.
I know.
I just went with the raw Rotten Tomatoes score, although I didn't note how many reviews.
First of all, my list honestly started being comprised mostly of 90s comedies.
Mine too.
Which, because I may be nostalgic for them. I don't know. But I was building my list and I thought, this is probably Joel's list. So so I actually, I want to start with a movie that I really like. Came out in 2008. It's called 21.
Oh, the Blackjack movie.
Yes. So 21 is a fact-based story about 6 MIT students who were trained to become experts in card counting and subsequently took Vegas casinos for millions in winnings. Got 38% on the tomato meter with 169 reviews, so there's a larger sample.
Right.
Got an audience score of 66, and it was IMDb 6.8.
What was the Rotten Tomatoes score again?
It's 38.
So 38 to 66?
Quite
38%.
low.
Yeah, and which I was like, that was the one that I was like, hey, I thought that was a pretty good movie. Everyone I've talked to is like, I kind of liked that one.
We should point out too that the official score, quote unquote, for Rotten Tomatoes is a critic score, meaning approved critics.
Yeah.
Their list of approved critics, that's where their score goes.
Right.
Everyone else, the unwashed masses, they get put in the audience score. So that's why there's this like it's rotten according to the critics, but the audiences gave it a
It's
fresh.
so good when there
fresh.
is the disparity there. And that's maybe not as high because you said about 66%.
Yeah, it's like a 30%. Yeah.
But generally, like audiences will sometimes be kinder, sometimes be a little bit more harsh, and are way opposite of what either snooty critics are.
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, not to belabor the point, I don't want to get into it on this show, but like The Last Jedi, for example, is like 98% on the tomato meter. And
It's
the audience
basically
score is,
almost perfect.
The audience score is pretty
Tomatoes.
low,
Yeah.
you know? So it's kind of nice when they're close. Also want to point out this movie is starring Jim Sturgis, Kate Bosworth, and Christopher Plummer.
Well said. Every movie that has
Christopher
Christopher
Plummer
Plummer in
now.
it. I remember liking this one. I probably would give it a B- at that point. Like it was fine.
I mean, I thought it was perfectly fine. I liked it.
Yeah,
I actually
perfectly
watched
fine.
it. I watched it on Netflix like 2 months
Why did
ago.
it get such low ratings though? It seems like it was kind of an average movie. Why did the critics
Let's give
hate
it a re-ranked one. I'm going to give it somewhere in the 60s. I'll give it a 65% Rotten Tomatoes.
It's 3. Yeah, I'd give it 60. I'd give it a fresh rating.
Yeah.
It's above average.
I think so. That's why I was surprised to see
Some
it
of these
at
we may not be
38%.
very happy with each other's results,
No.
but still.
Well, I'm going to just say this now. I am put at a big disadvantage. Hey, Zach, welcome to the show. Let's hear about all the bad movies that you like so people can judge you about it.
Actually, this isn't a bad
he's
movie.
no jerk.
Yeah, but this isn't a bad movie, and Jacob's taste in movies is terrible too.
Oh, mine gets much worse.
Well, it's meant to be.
Good.
All right.
All right, so mine is at 40%, and it came out 2002. It's Equilibrium.
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale. Also has Sean Bean and Emily Watson and Taye Diggs. In an oppressive future where all forms of feeling are illegal, I'm already laughing. A man in charge of enforcing the law rises to overthrow the system and state. Rotten Tomatoes, so that was IMDb synopsis. Rotten Tomatoes, they usually compile the reviews and a staff member writes like a synopsis of generally what critics say.
Yeah.
And it's usually a slam for these movies. And so they say, Equilibrium is a reheated mishmash of other sci-fi movies. You could say that about pretty much
That's everything in the
Oblivion,
genre.
you know.
Well, did Equilibrium come out before or after The Matrix?
It came out after,
Just
3 years after.
Oh, it is that far.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of equate those two in my brain, just because Matrix was a black hole movie, meaning I was out of the country, not seeing movies at the time. And then Equilibrium came out.
Well, it's a gunplay movie as well.
In fact, I'm trying to remember if I have seen it, Kent.
I think you've wait, you haven't seen Equilibrium?
I'm trying to remember if I have seen it.
Does gun kata make any sense to you?
I'm looking to see if I gave it a rating, because I've gotten to the point in my life, Kent, where I've seen too many movies to remember if I've seen movies. You know that feeling.
So this one, yeah, exactly. This one has like low budget special effects. It was made for $20 million, made by Kurt Wimmer, and it only made $5 million. And the reason why is because they shelved this movie forever because of Columbine. And actually, there's a few movies on these lists that were pushed for gunplay. And so it was never actually got the wide release, but still made $5 million worldwide. So it took a loss, but still. Audience score on this one was 60%. So not a ton of disparity, 40 to 60%. And yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like 1984, the action movie, with a really stinky premise. But at the same time, there's some beauty to it, and Christian Bale is always good.
Stinky premise?
It's kind of a stinky premise.
It's just a weird way to say it.
That's what they actually called me back in college.
Stinky premise?
Yeah.
But I would like to see this one as like a TV series, because there's the clerics, and they're basically the cops of this utopian society, and there's the resistance, and both have their goals in mind. And yeah, I really recommend everyone watch this movie, because it's not perfect, but it's really fun in a John Wick style sort of way. 40% Rotten Tomatoes. Joel, what's your number
got,
7?
Joel?
I was just looking. I don't have a rating for it, so I don't know if I've seen it or not. On Rotten Tomatoes, that's how I keep track a lot of times. I pull up a movie and I pull up my score. Mine actually, well, it got a 22%.
So low.
Wow, you're starting low.
This is my highest. 22% from the critic score, and a 91% on the audience score.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's 1999's The Boondock Saints.
Yes.
Wow.
So
have you put this one?
Boondock Saints. If
Wait.
you don't know,
Wait. How many F words in this one?
I don't know. I have the Clean Flicks version.
According to Joel,
So
none.
give us the synopsis.
So synopsis: 2 Irish Catholic brothers become vigilantes and wipe out Boston's criminal underworld in the name of God. So it's these guys who feel like they have this calling to kill bad guys. And it's Norman Reedus, if you don't know, from Daryl from The Walking Dead, like his little baby face.
yeah, Sean Patrick Flannery.
Sean Patrick Flannery from, what does he do, like Jiffy Lube commercials now? Or
He kind of looks like Billy Campbell.
No, but and Willem Dafoe is in it as well. But this is one of those movies that, and I say I got it from Clean Flicks because it was one of those that was, I think it was in a bargain bin, and when they were kind of clearing out their inventory, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch Boondock Saints. Why not? It was like, a couple bucks, and I watched it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was so crazy fun, and it is crazy. Troy Duffy, who is the director, I think he was a bartender.
He was, yeah.
And then he wrote the screenplay for this, and it didn't really get picked up. And then they chose him to actually direct it as well. And then they dropped the funding. And it ended up like they had this whole, like they had another company come in, an independent company, but this definitely has kind of an indie feel to it. It's kind of sloppy. It's his first stab.
It's kind of like Drunken Violence up on screen.
Like this would be one, like you saw a student film at a student film festival, and they showed this film. It would be the best thing ever.
Yes. It's a blast. I'm sure you didn't see the one character that his only lines are swear words.
The comedian guy, Joe, who gets his finger cut off.
I think so.
Yeah, he's there.
He swears every
He
single
kills
sentence.
the cat.
Yep.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a cat that dies in this one, just so you know. Budget of $6 million, and it made $30,000 because it was only released for like 1 week, because this was right after Columbine, and so they delayed the release for a while, and then they just did a straight to video, and like, never mind, we don't want it out there. And
it's such a college movie, though.
It's so college. Yeah. Okay, so I own this one. I watched this one just today. Like I said,
That's why you're all amped up.
I am.
Yeah.
So I was able to, and it was in the background as I was doing other stuff, but I was able to watch this one today, and it was funny to watch it again and be like, wow, it's really not great, but it's still really fun for me.
Also, it got a sequel.
It did. Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. And there's talks of a third one they've been trying to do. And it really is just kind of this weird, it got popular because of word of mouth, because everyone's like, you got to see this movie. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane action. Because these two guys who don't really know what they're doing, but decide to take out mob bosses, but they're guided by a hand that things just kind of happen Good for them.
Right. And it does beg the question, is vigilante justice okay?
And that's one thing I really like about this is that at the end, they have this conversation of like, is it okay to just have these people just kill bad guys? And like, there's yeses and there's no's, like interviewing people. It's fun to watch. Like I said, a box office of 30,000, but then it made 50 million in domestic video sales.
What?
This became like the Hot Topic movie.
Yeah, and speaking of Hot Topic,
Blockbuster.
you could probably get the T-shirts of Boondock Saints at Hot Topic.
I wanted to get one for the longest time.
Really? I did. Well, Christmas.
Yeah.
So
So there you
this
go.
year.
I chose Boondock Saints at 22%.
All right, Zach, what do you got next?
All right, so for number 6, I am going to head back to 1982. I'm just going to say this. A British student at a 1960s American high school must prove himself to the leader of a girls' gang whose members can only date greasers. That's right. It's Grease 2, starring Michelle Pfeiffer. This retroactively got a 38% on the tomato meter, has a 53% audience score.
Zach, you like this one?
I actually like Grease 2.
Because Michelle Pfeiffer's in it, or
Michelle
why?
Pfeiffer's great. They have Cool Rider is a great song. The song about bowling is fantastic.
Okay. You just said the
It's
song
not-
about bowling. You didn't even say the title.
Family
of it.
friendly.
Oh.
What's it called?
okay,
What's
yeah.
it called?
Family friendly.
It's family friendly.
I'm going to look it up now.
Yeah, they sing the song about all the seasons at the I'll be yours in winter when the snow is on the ground. I love
So
it.
explain this story to me.
It's exactly the same as Grease 1, but gender swapped.
Is Michelle
So true.
is Michelle Pfeiffer? Is she Danny Zuko's cousin?
No.
Have you not seen Grease 2?
I seen it when I was a kid.
No,
I should watch it
but
for Kentmas.
the
Oh, I don't know if I want to.
the male is Sandy's cousin, who's British,
That's it.
but Sandy's
I
Australian.
knew there was a cousin,
yes,
but they both have accents, so it's all the same.
Rizzo's back, right?
Rizzo had to go back to high school because she's a beauty school dropout.
Is this like Styles in the Teen Wolf movies? He always has
Yes.
to follow the action?
Yep.
Okay.
She's the only tie to the original.
It's not good, though.
Oh, it's not good.
Well, okay.
And I love it and have it on DVD.
At the risk of offending you, Zach, I will say this. I used to love Grease, and then I realized Grease is not that good.
Grease is terrible.
The music is fun.
The story's awful.
It's terrible.
Is
Hey,
the sequel
kids.
better?
Hey kids,
No.
change yourself to be liked.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens in the second one. I like it better than Grease 1.
Whoa.
I have more fun
Zach,
watching
This is your first show.
Yeah,
I know.
As a host.
Usually we try to upset people like 2 years in.
Dropping some bombs.
Most of our listener is Grease 1 fans.
Okay.
Every time we ask them.
Do they take off in a flying car in a fantasy sequence at the end?
No, but
motorcycle.
he does do a really big jump on a motorcycle over a cop car and maybe dies.
What?
It's crazy. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Should I do a marathon with this and Xanadu
Yes.
Xanadu's so good, though.
for a sleepover?
Xanadu is way better.
Yes.
Okay, we're having a sleepover.
Yep.
When this all clears up, yeah. Grease 2.
Grease 2.
That was brave.
What was
This-
the percentages on that for
This
audience?
was 38%.
And the audience give it better?
And the audience gave it 53. This was actually the first movie I put on my list because I actually started mine by walking over to my DVD cabinet and then looking at the scores of the movies that I thought might be low.
See,
I saw
Grease 2,
Grease
of
2.
course.
I should have done that. I would give yours a 40%, probably.
Oh, I would give mine an 87.
Wow.
Stop it.
Oh, yeah. I
No,
should
not
say,
really.
by the way, Boondock Saints. I would probably give that like an 85, 80, 88 kind of.
I am surprised it's so low.
Yeah.
I give it a 72%.
I'm not surprised Grease is low. Grease 2.
Yeah. Grease 2, I haven't seen it in a while, but it's probably like a 97.
I think it's, yeah.
All right, so my next choice is also a 40%, so going nowhere near Joel's low scores yet, but it's Speed Racer from 2008.
You know, that's a good choice.
Has 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. A young driver, Speed Racer, aspires to be champion of the racing world with the help of his family and his high-tech Mach 5 automobile. Rotten Tomatoes says, overloaded with headache-inducing special effects, Speed Racer finds Wachowskis focused on visual thrills at the expense of a coherent storyline. A little bit brutal. Granted,
Not
there are,
entirely wrong.
the visuals are key here.
Yeah.
Fantastic is the word you're looking for.
Absolutely fantastic.
The visuals are amazing. This is the Blu-ray test.
And it's
movie.
weird because it's 2008, so Blu-rays were kind of new, and this is still great on Blu-ray. You could probably find it on 4K, and it would still shine.
Yeah.
And this is the Wachowskis.
But the story and the acting, the dialogue, it's meant to mimic the anime series, and so it is a little bit cheesy. Like
There's a monkey.
lot of it. There's a monkey.
A chimp, actually. Sorry.
There's the villain in this is a shadowy figure in this one. I don't want to give too much on that, but And Trixie, we have Christina Ricci in this movie, which is never a bad thing for any
Your
movie.
eyes just lit up when you said
a little bit. This was a failure. It was made for 120 million. It only made 93 million. And it's PG, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. What PG movie should be 2 hours, 15 minutes?
Sound of Music?
Is it?
It's actually like a lot longer.
Well, okay,
and it's
older
G.
movies. But Speed Racer seems like it was kind of made, like it's almost like
Made for kids, but they didn't know that kids have short attention spans?
a little bit. And so it is kind of made for us that need the visual flair and maybe a brain dead sort of movie. But at the same time, the visuals are enough to keep me there. And I actually love this movie.
What was the...
So it's 40%. I do think that this one, honestly, would probably be 80% for me. Like a straight 80%. It's not perfect, but I own this one. I could watch it every year.
I'd go a little higher, probably say 85%.
Would you? Okay.
I actually had to take a second pass at this one. The first time I watched it, I got a really bad headache because it's really, there's a lot of flashing.
Yes.
There's a lot going on the screen. I actually got a really bad headache and got a little nauseous. I had to turn it off. So I had to try twice to see this one.
Yeah. And that's not a good
worth
sign.
it though. Worth
Second
it.
time good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my next one, it's a 1994 movie. It got 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. Or, yeah, of course, on Rotten Tomatoes. And the audience score, 36%. So audience didn't like it either. It's Clean Slate.
Okay.
Dana Carvey?
Dana Carvey, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Synopsis is: a private eye who suffers total amnesia every 24 hours is deeply entangled in a complicated murder and theft case. And it stars Dana Carvey, Valerita Golino. If you don't know her, she was like the it girl for like mid-90s movies. And Rain Man and Big Top Pee-wee.
Another low scoring one.
Also stars Michael Gambon, James Earl Jones, Bryan Cranston, and Kevin Pollak.
What?
Bit parts.
Sure.
Bryan Cranston. But this is one of those movies where he forgets every day. Every time he goes to sleep, he loses his memory. But he's
It's
a
like
private
Memento
detective.
with Dana
Funny
Carvey.
you should say that.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you knew this, Kent, but the camera operator, one of the camera operators on the set of Clean Slate, Christopher Nolan.
Nah.
April Fool's.
I was like, you hack.
Now, 6 years later, he did Memento.
Right.
But my friends and I, for some reason, thought this one was hilarious, and we would quote it to each other. Like random quotes.
Is this when you just needed to be fed with anything Mike Myers or Dana Carvey at this point? Is this SNL glory days?
Yeah, well, this is after Wayne's World when Dana Carvey was a big hit. But for some reason, and I had a huge crush on I can't ever say her name right, but Valeria Golino, and just stupid dumb things like we would quote part where he would say "sí," yes, amigo, and for some reason, every time I say "sí" in Spanish, I want to say "yes, amigo." Because of this movie.
Is that why you like Master of Disguise so much? You just love Dana
hate
Carvey. I know you hate it.
Master of Disguise is one of my worst hated movies of all time.
Makes sense.
And it's funny because Dana Carvey never really found a vehicle for himself in film. But this is one where I legitimately like it. And if you haven't seen Clean Slate, it's a PG-13. It's a soft PG-13 if it's PG-13.
Okay.
Maybe. I should look at the parents' guide on this more.
Probably a lot of innuendo on this one.
At anything. But it's definitely one of the cleaner ones. So there you go.
Clean Slate.
And I would give this one like a 72%.
Okay, I'll give it a 68%.
I've never seen it.
It makes sense.
That's me.
fine.
That's my Jake.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a good Jake.
Yeah, you sounded just like him.
All right, I'm going to give my 5. And I'm going with a nostalgic pick here. This is kind of well known to be enjoyed, but also not very critically acclaimed. From 1991, Hook. Directed by Steven Spielberg.
Hook is fantastic.
When Captain James Hook kidnaps his children, an adult Peter Pan must return to Neverland and reclaim his youthful spirit in order to challenge his old enemy. 28% on the tomato
I
meter.
don't get it.
Isn't that insane?
76% on the audience score, though. That's
low.
not that high.
Rotten Tomato says the look of Hook is lively indeed, but Steven Spielberg directs it on autopilot here, giving in too quickly his sentimental, syrupy qualities. This is also my number 5.
Oh, you guys matched.
Absolutely.
Well, hello.
You matched on number 2?
Yeah, we did. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think Hook is really fun. Granted, I did see it when I was younger, and so I think that maybe has something to do with it. But Spielberg's even said, he's like, I only like that movie until they get to Neverland, and then it's...
He actually says he didn't really like working with all the kid actors, which is surprising because he's good with kid actors, but I guess they were just too unruly.
Williams?
No, with Steven
Hoffman?
Spielberg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he just said it was hard to direct everyone, but he says he'll never regret that movie because of his friendship that he made with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love this movie. Legitimately love this movie.
Bangarang.
Bangarang, Peter.
I think it's really fun. I love Dustin Hoffman in it.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic as Hook.
Good show.
Bad form.
Bad form.
Stop me, Smee. Don't stop me now, Smee. Don't stop me. Stop me. Stop me, Smee.
Weirdest pick for
He kind
Captain
of,
Hook.
but he disappears into the role. It doesn't seem like Dustin Hoffman at all.
No.
This movie is kind of fantastic. It's very creative. It does kind of go fan fiction-y, but in a way that feels heartfelt.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just such a nice movie as well.
It also gave us Dame Maggie Smith looking like she's 60 back in the 90s.
Yeah. She was in her 50s, I believe. And then they made her late 70s in the movie. She's always kind of looked that age, though. I think
That's
even
what I'm saying.
from
Like
24.
she looks the same then as she does in Downton Abbey now.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
Spoilers, she's coming up again on this list.
Oh, okay.
Dame Maggie Smith?
Maybe.
This movie was made for $70 million. It made $300 million. So quite a profit there.
It's a huge success. I think it's well regarded. I'm sure the video sales were fantastic.
Yeah.
What was the percentage again, this one?
It was 28%.
Yeah, it was higher than any. I didn't get that high.
No. This wouldn't even make it for you.
Didn't make it.
Yeah. I don't really fully get the hate for it.
I don't either.
Especially 28%. I mean, you could say like, oh, it's fine.
So
but
I watched this with my kids a couple weeks ago, and they weren't as into the magic because it's like a lot of the flying scenes weren't all that good. The effects are a little bit
But
dicey.
the food fight.
The food fight is fun. They really got into that. And also, they were shocked. They're like, wait, that's Peter Pan? And I'm like, yes, the movie is taking effect. Because he's a selfish person to begin with.
Exactly. And you
Pan.
transition with him as he transitions back to being Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Some magic. Oh, there you are, Peter.
you are.
Welcome back to Neverland, Pan the Man.
And then Rufio.
Oh, Rufio. Also, when the kid rolls up his legs
And it rolls down the plank.
we watched that 7 times. I had to keep rewinding it. The best scene in the movie.
Oh, man.
I love the score in the movie too.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I had a call center job. Anyway, I had a call center job, and the hold music was the score for Hook.
Oh, hey.
And so I found a way to call into my own phone and put myself on hold so I could listen to the hold music when it was.
That's John Williams, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. And it's beautiful.
This would be like a 95% for me.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a big fan of this one.
Same.
Slower, yes, but so well done.
Yeah.
Because I
love
saw it as a kid.
Yeah, I'll give it a 90%.
I think I realized as a kid I never really watched the beginning because I don't really remember the not in Neverland stuff.
It's kind of dark.
But yeah, it's in the 90% for me as well.
The children were screaming. That part scared me every time as a kid.
Wow, with the
hook
hook
slice on
in
the
the
wall. Yeah.
wall. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
All right, Joel, what's your number 5?
My number 5 got 17%. It's from 1993, and it's National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
Oh, wow.
I wondered if Loaded Weapon would make it on this list.
Is it just because you love Lethal Weapon so much?
I love Lethal Weapon, but this parodies. So this is a spoof movie. It parodies mostly Lethal Weapon, but it also. Oh, let me read the IMDb synopsis, if I may, and I'm going to read it exactly as it's written. A spoof on Lethal Weapon, 1987, other movies, TV commercials, etc. 2 unlike LA cops investigate a cocaine in Girl Scout cookies case.
Was someone on cocaine when writing that?
Probably.
Wow.
But this stars Emilio Estevez, Samuel L. Jackson, Kathy Ireland, Tim Curry, William Shatner, John Lovitz, Dennis Leary, with cameos from Eric Estrada, Corey Feldman, Whoopi Goldberg, Phil Hartman, Bruce Willis, Denise Richards, and Charlie Sheen.
So this is a 90s movie, totally. Through and through.
Oh, totally. And it's amazing one if I could ever connect it through Baconsale when we play our game.
Oh, that's a good
It
call.
has all these people in it.
The only part I remember from this movie is when he walks into his trailer, and it's a very small trailer from the outside. It
And he
turns
walks
into a
in,
TARDIS,
and
basically.
He walks in, and it's a huge mansion with like pillars and marble stairs and everything. So I own this one.
You do?
I do. And I watched it today, and I laughed. There was a lot more stuff than I remembered, like in regard to not
Innuendo?
family friendly. Yeah,
Okay.
innuendo stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a naked bum as well.
Ooh.
Not a clothed bum, but a naked bum.
But it's done for laughs in that regard.
Yeah.
But this came out in 1993, and like I said, it's a spoof on like, and this is why it's a time capsule of 90s. Like, it spoofs Basic Instinct, Die Hard, Dirty Harry, Silence of the Lambs, Wayne's World, 48 Hours. Like, it's just like, that's the era.
This was pre-Samuel L. Jackson hitting the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just one of the goofy guys on there. And once again, I own the TV version, and it was an extended cut. ABC released an extended cut where they put in the deleted scenes. So when I watched my DVD, I was disappointed that some parts weren't in there. But I still laughed, and I did enjoy, even the box was funny. It says things like, shorter than Dances with Wolves, and on a scale of 1 to 10.
That's it?
That's what it says.
Okay, I respect that.
And this was the guy. This guy ended up the director for this one, Gene Quintano, also known as Quentin Tarantino. That's what I read it, but it's not really him.
Right. Has he done anything else?
He did a lot of later Police Academy movies, like Police Academy 3, 4, and 5.
Oh.
So
he did Citizens on Patrol. So he's good. Okay.
yeah. So there you go. My number 17% is National Lampoon's Load of One.
That you own.
I do, and it's so goofy and it's so terrible, but I laughed and I enjoyed it. And
Can you recommend it to anyone?
If you like those types of movies, like if you like those spoof movies,
spoofs before they got really, really tired.
Yeah, like I don't like the scary movie ones weren't that great until like 4.
When you hit the year 2000 and you get scary movie, epic movie, date movie, all those sort of stuff.
They're not good.
Ruined.
They're not good. But like this is like in that vein of Airplane, where it's this goofy screwball type comedy that they're literally just certain lines, they just kind of throw away a line for no other reason, just to get a laugh.
Yeah.
Or someone will have like something silly on their head for a shot.
I'll watch this. I'll rewatch it. It's been a long time.
I could let you borrow it.
I find myself mixing this up with Hot Shots.
Hot Shots is great.
I also own that.
Yeah.
But
that's
fun.
Charlie Sheen. That's not Emilio Estevez.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, very different. Very different.
But if I were to give this one a score, I'd have to give it 81%.
Okay.
Because I really do laugh at this, but I acknowledge that it is really dumb. Really dumb.
Okay, we'll check it out.
All right, next up, we're at number 4. Mine is a movie that comes from the year 2000, scoring 25% on the tomato meter. It is Gone in 60 Seconds, starring Nicolas Cage.
It scored that low?
A retired master car thief must come back to the industry and steal 50 cars with his crew in one night to save his brother's life.
What was the score again?
25%. An audience score of 77. That's
that movie's freaking awesome.
That's my highest discrepancy on my list.
I saw that when I was 18, and I loved it. I mean, Angelina Jolie with blonde hair.
Yep.
Nicolas Cage when he's still kind of normal.
With blonde hair.
With blonde hair, for sure.
Giovanni Ribisi doing some work.
This is a movie of blondes.
All the cars had girl names.
With blonde hair.
With blonde hair.
Cars have hair.
But yeah, this was a fun movie. If this came out now, it would do so much better.
Yeah.
Because you look at Fast and Furious movies, and they do well.
Well, and here's the Rotten Tomatoes synopsis of the reviews. Even though Oscar bearers Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, and Robert Duvall came aboard for this project, the quality of Gone in 60 Seconds is disappointingly low. The plotline is nonsensical, and even the promised car chase scenes are boring. And I disagree, especially the last, like with
Eleanor,
the closing with the Shelby Mustang is so good.
I don't like this movie that much.
You don't?
No.
Why? A little too gritty, or what is it?
I just remember like certain parts of it. Like every time I ride my brakes, like down a hill or something like that, I think of him saying, right, she looks like the brakes have been ridden by an old granny or something like that, and I feel bad for riding my brakes down a hill. I put it in lower gear. This movie had an effect on me.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like it.
Huh.
I
feel like it's typical summer fare.
Average for me. Like I would probably give this one like 61%.
I feel like a 65 is accurate.
Oh, I'm in like the 78.
Okay, 78.
I have fun with this movie. I also
throwing out so many numbers in this episode.
I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan. So when he's like, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, I'm like, yeah, I feel that. I get you, Nick Cage.
Did you practice that before the show?
I say it all the time.
Does Angelina have like dreads in this one?
It does.
Yeah, it's like blonde dreads.
Very authentic blonde dreads.
Yeah. She's a mechanic.
So Charlize Theron copied that then when she got
totally.
blonde thread.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Copied her whole career.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Fast and the Furious.
All right, my number 4, it came out in 2016, also has a 28%. It's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Wow.
It's that low?
What a surprise.
Wait, what percentage?
28%.
I was going to say it's that high. I'm kidding.
That's the critic score. What the audience? Do you know what the audience?
The audience score is 62%.
So barely fresh.
So 28 and 62%. Synopsis. Do I need to go there?
It's Batman v Superman.
Right.
They're in a legal case.
Rotten Tomatoes says this. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice smothers a potentially powerful story and some of America's most iconic superheroes in a grim whirlwind of effects-driven action. Directed by Zack Snyder, starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill.
I can't wait till they release
Gal
the
Gadot.
Snyder cut of this one.
Well, that's where I want to lead next. So this one was made for $250 million. It made $880 million. So turned quite a profit, but it didn't make the billion that every superhero movie hopes to make. The ultimate cut was released, obviously, on video 4 months later.
Yeah.
And this is where minds changed, because when this movie came out, obviously, it was huge. Rotten Tomatoes kind of broke because people were kind of upset with Rotten Tomatoes and the critics that all basically loaded onto this movie. The Ultimate Cut comes out, and it was the 30 minutes that was removed from Warner Brothers removed it stupidly because they said, hey, we want to put more butts in seats, so make the movie shorter, and we don't want this to be a 3-hour movie, essentially. But the 3 hours explained the full story. And while some people may say it's tightened it up a little bit, for me, I didn't necessarily need it because I liked this movie when it came out, but the Ultimate Cut is the only one to watch at this point. And so after that, you don't actually get updated reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or even IMDb for the Ultimate Cut. Mm-hmm. But so many critics who hated the original movie changed their minds. Like people from like Forbes, Slash Film, Digital Spy, Ebert.com, The Independent, The Wrap, Slant, EW, they all said, why wasn't this released in the first place? I feel like this movie... It was released maybe 5 years too early because it takes a more serious approach. Some would say dark and gritty, but I would say
Some would say boring.
Yeah, I wouldn't at all.
Some would, not me.
Yeah, I was like, Joel, you wouldn't say that, would you?
I gave it an average score, remember?
Yes, you did.
Yelled at me?
I didn't yell at you.
No, I said
for your
3.5 stars. You're like, how dare you? This is the best thing ever written.
Maybe the best thing ever written. I think it's because you like to take shots at it, but then you actually kind of liked it.
I will say I have not gone back and visited this very much.
So everyone should. This is one, especially as we're all stuck at home, that everyone should visit because you have time now. No one complain, 3 hours, what am I going to do? Watch The Office again? No, watch Batman v Superman.
No, people are going to watch The Office again.
Of course. I put that in their minds. I love this movie. I absolutely love it. I really, really like the original, but with the full comprehensive story, this is great. It's a very deep take on these iconic, godlike superheroes and gives us a different view that is great.
So what percentage would you give it?
Honestly?
Is there a percentage high enough?
Honestly. Is there higher than 100?
You're giving it 100.
I would give it 100%.
I do think it's interesting that I really would like to see a rescore with the Ultimate Edition.
Right, I was surprised. I dug and dug because sometimes with like Blade Runner, you'll see different review scores for like the final cut, the director cut, the fourth director cut, and 19 others. This one, you can't find any updated score. So it's in canon on Rotten Tomatoes, 28%.
I give it a 72%.
I'd say that's fair from you.
What's the fresh? Is the fresh
60%?
Oh, I'd definitely give it above that. What did Man of Steel get?
56%.
Okay, I'd give it higher than Man of Steel.
Oh, you do? I like Man of Steel more, which is 101%.
I think I like Man of Steel more.
I like the Batman stuff, so that pushes it just not much, but a little bit above it for me. So I'd give it.
Also, I'm pretty stoked because
Jesse Eisenberg's in it, 67%.
Yeah, right. No, I actually think it's great.
All right. My number 4 got a 15%, but it's a comedy that I think we all like in this room.
15%.
Not Kent. I think me and Zach like in this room.
90s comedy. Okay.
90s comedy, 1992, Encino Man.
Yep. I knew you would.
Encino Man's great.
15%.
100% knew you would put this on your list.
Of course I would. This is one of my favorite movies.
That's a crime.
I know. Well, but it was one of my favorite movies back in the day. Like my friends and I thought it was so cool. If you don't know Encino Man, when they find a frozen caveman in their backyard, 2 high school outcasts thaw him and introduce him to modern life, where he in turn gets them to actually enjoy life. And this was directed by Les Mayfield, who directed Back to the Future. No, excuse me. He directed the making of Back to the Future. He also did Miracle on 34th Street and Flubber and Blue Streak. So he has some other movies too, but that I made me laugh that was
nice slam. Yeah.
Starring Brendan Fraser, Sean Astin, Pauly Shore, and Megan Ward as Robin Sweeney.
Did this launch?
A big crush on her.
Oh, of course. Did this launch Pauly Shore?
I think
as
this
an
was
actor.
So Pauly Shore was doing Totally Pauly on MTV, and so Disney was like, "Hey, let's bring him into this movie," and they were actually going to make him the caveman first. But then they found Brendan Fraser. They're like, he's going to be much better at this, and it did launch Brendan Fraser's career too.
Yeah.
But then Pauly Shore, they actually built the character because they wanted to keep him in the movie, so they made Stoney as his character. So $7 million was the budget, and it made $40.7 million. So it did quite well at the box office.
And that's early 90s money. So
yeah. In fact, Steve Hansen, listener of the show, gave Baconsale the soundtrack to this movie.
Also brought Sean Astin back into light.
It did. He was Goonies, and then he kind of went out of nowhere, and then he came back with this.
It's kind of the start of his like more adult career.
Yeah.
Well, adult career.
He still looks like a kid.
Yeah. By the way, this was known as California Man in Europe, Asia, and New Zealand.
California Man.
They don't know Encino. I didn't know Encino. I didn't know Encino was a thing. Like,
well, it sounds
I didn't
like
know Estonia was a country until they told me in this movie.
It sounds like a caveman term.
Yeah.
I
Encino.
actually thought it was for the longest time, and I was like, wait, that's a place?
Yeah.
What?
What a
Encino.
likable movie, though.
Oh, it's so much fun.
The soundtrack's cool. They all know a dance at the end.
Yeah, everyone everyone knows a dance at the end.
It's like Teen Wolf.
Well, I just love the idea that like you thought, okay, man, he's just perfectly functional, everything's fine,
Yeah.
and then he fits into high school and he's okay with this. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. By the way, Link, you remember Brendan Fraser's character Link? He made a cameo in Son-in-Law as Link.
What?
So like they're at a
That's
costume party.
right.
Connected universe?
And then in the movie In the Army Now, starring In the Army Now, starring Pauly Shore, Brendan Fraser does a cameo as a soldier with the name Link. So apparently they just really wanted to bank on that Encino Man without actually making a sequel.
Make a sequel.
Save it for our Pauly Shore show.
Check out fresh nugs, squeeze and juice. Ow, buddy. And I give this one, this is probably like a 89%.
Whoa, this is a 70%. Straight 70.
This is a
89%.
perfect, it's on TV, turn it on movie.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen Encino Man, it's dumb 90s fun, and I think you'll enjoy it.
All right, moving on to our next one. I'm gonna tell you a little story. Back when Zach was a young college goer, we basically
We don't talk about ourselves in third person.
We basically had 3 movies. I don't remember the third one, but one of them.
Hold on.
Because we never watched that one.
Yeah, 3 movies.
3 movies. I don't remember one of them. Then we watched Failure to Launch.
Why?
Terrible
Yeah.
movie. And then this one, starring Jessica Simpson and Dane Cook, as well as Dax Shepard.
No.
Employee of the Month.
You like this one?
I actually kind of do. And I think
but
it's
why?
because we watched it a lot in
Nostalgia
college.
glasses.
20% on the tomato meter, 53% on the audience
Can you
score.
count this as nostalgia?
It reminds me of my first year of college.
Dax Shepard reminds you of your first year of college.
Weird, right?
Well, it's funny because Dax Shepard, he got to start on Punk'd, and everybody liked him. They
Yeah.
said, "Oh, he's so interesting, and he can play any character and surprise anybody." And then when you try to break,
I was
into
more of a
film,
Jamie Kennedy experience kind of guy.
Were you? Oh man, he was so annoying. But yeah, and he didn't really ever take off. And then Dane Cook tried to become a thing too.
Yeah.
Who?
Exactly. It's a terrible movie, and I was on like TBS recently, and I was like,
Do they kind of
dang,
work
I
in a
still kinda like
Costco
that.
sort of
It's a
store?
Costco, yeah.
Okay.
It actually, like, they closed down a Costco and filmed at night. Yeah. It's not good, but I like it.
Like, do you think it's funny, or you just
I smile. I think
you
it's
smile?
entertaining.
Yeah, no guffaws.
And
I'm
keep
like-
in mind, we're not building up to like his ultimate favorite. We're building up to the lowest score.
If it-
Could be the worst
yeah.
movie on the list.
Although at the end, we probably should pick our favorite on the list.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't put this high on my list, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that movie. I'll be honest.
Employee of the Month. Okay, I want to know if anyone's seen Employee of the Month.
Probably not. I've maybe seen it probably 15 times
This
because it was just on. It was just on in the background all the time.
This is one of those where you'd walk through the rows in Blockbuster and always look at it in your peripheral and then be like, oh, I'm not getting that.
I mean, Jessica Simpson's pretty.
I couldn't
Yeah,
even
she's
tell you.
pretty.
I've seen it that many times. I couldn't
But
tell
it's
you a
like,
single quote.
should
from
I
it.
get Dukes of Hazzard or should I get Employee of the Month? Oh, Dukes of Hazzard, because that's Johnny Knoxville, who also didn't make it big into film,
No.
and Sean William Scott.
He tried.
He tried. Yeah. All right, my number 3 has already been mentioned, but I wanted to save it till this point. It's The Boondock Saints.
Nice.
So Rotten Tomatoes says a juvenile, ugly movie that represents the worst tendencies of directors channeling Tarantino.
It's violent. It's
Yeah.
violent and it's vulgar. But I shouldn't. It's choppy for me.
Yeah.
on my version.
Well, the thing is, Tarantino, like at this point, he had Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is not a very violent movie in Tarantino's standards.
Right.
But he did have a style. And then a lot of movies came out after, like Go. I don't know if you guys remember that one. I think it was also a 99
wasn't
movie.
great.
But it had like the out of context storytelling. And then Boondock Saints was just straight up violent. So it did kind of feel like a Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction sort of thing.
One thing that was cool and yet weird about Boondock Saints is they don't show the action. They cut, like they start, like they're about to go into a room to shoot people.
Yeah.
And then it will cut and then show the cops come in looking at the scene. And then he'll piece together what happens. So then you see what happens.
Yes.
Which is an interesting thing to do, but
That's
also
great.
kind of pointless.
I really like it. It feels like a Guy Ritchie way of storytelling as well.
It is, except for student filmmaker version of it.
Yeah, well, this guy clearly didn't really make films at all.
No.
But all I remember is Norman Reedus sliding in every room with double guns. Like
Yes.
basically Tomb Raider. And that was every scene.
Oh, there's a scene when they drop down from a ceiling and they're tied up in rope. So they drop down from a ceiling
Yeah.
accidentally and they just start shooting while upside down, the two of them back to back shooting. It's one of the coolest things.
Yeah, it's so cool. The style of this one, like we said, low budget, but still is really effective. It's a college poster type movie.
Totally.
So Joel, I'm glad you saw this one edited because it has 248 F words.
Whoa.
That's more than Zach said on this episode. Thank you, by the way, for editing
Thank
that.
you for
Yes.
editing that.
He doesn't quite get it yet.
I have quite a mouth.
And from the Parents Guide, we already mentioned this, but a cat is accidentally shot with bloody results. In parentheses, it is done in a very comedic manner.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you have a cat death in film, majority of time it's done for humor's sake.
It's sad.
If you have a dog die, it's done for drama's sake. I don't know why, but that's just the way the
Oh my gosh,
Hollywood
that's
works.
true.
But the tagline for this one is, "Thou shalt not kill. It's the one commandment they cannot keep." So they're meant to be Catholics in this movie. It's a very Bostonian movie with
Yeah,
the
very
soundtrack
Irish
and
Catholic,
everything.
yeah.
The church they go to, the Catholic Church would not allow them to use or film in a Catholic church. And so
I
they
wonder
actually
why.
used a Lutheran building.
Oh.
And Lutheran said, yeah, we're fine with that. Say you're Catholic, it's fine. Come into our church.
My number 3 is another Dana Carvey movie.
Oh boy. Here's Master of Disguise.
No, hate that. It's 13%, and it's if you like con movies, it's a good one. It's Opportunity Knocks.
I don't remember this one
I
at
don't
all.
even
I
know
own
what
this one
is.
as well. So this is another one I own. This is another one I watched today. A lot of time.
Yep.
But this has, by the way, it has 8 reviews and it's 13%. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, with the audience score, it's 47% with almost 4,000 reviews. Synopsis: 2 con men hide out in a house while the owner is away. One of them assumes the identity of the absent house sitter when the owner's relatives come to visit, only for further complications to set in. And this was directed by Donald Petrie, who did Mystic Pizza, Grumpy Old Men, Miss Congeniality, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Oh.
Hey.
I don't take a side.
So starring Dana Carvey, Robert Loggia? How do you say his name? Loggia.
Loogie.
And then Julia Campbell as Dr. Annie Malkin. You probably don't know that name, but I had the biggest crush on the
You had a lot of
character
crushes
Annie.
in the early
I
90s.
did.
Yeah.
So I really did. So this was Dana Carvey's actually his first starring role in a movie, and it was released during his 3rd season of Saturday Night Live. So it was it's pretty obvious in this movie
He doesn't really know how to act.
that he's just trying to do bits.
Oh, okay.
So like he does, I mean, it's not aged great because there's a scene where he just fakes speaking Japanese for a while. He doesn't really speak it, but he has to fake it because he's a con artist.
Yeah, can't get away with that now.
He does an Indian accent another part. And then one of the big moments of the movie is when he does a George W. Bush accent to fool someone into thinking the president is in the
H.W.
room. Yeah, H.W. Bush. Yeah, George H.W. Bush. Not gonna do it.
Wait, he just
Not
pulled his
gonna do
SNL
it.
characters into it?
Not his characters, but just like he's like, hey, look at all the funny things I can do. But as a con movie, it works great because what happens is they go to this house and they find out the person who's supposed to be sitting it isn't going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So then they assume the role, and then the family comes in and starts thinking he's this guy, and he starts to grow close to the family. It's a love con where he's trying to get to this guy's money.
Okay.
But if you like con movies, it's a fun con movie to watch. Definitely dated, but still very enjoyable. So there you go. Clean slate.
Do you recommend Clean Slate?
No, not Clean Slate. Opportunity
Do you
Knocks.
recommend Clean Slate or Opportunity Knocks?
I own Opportunity Knocks.
Yeah.
I don't own Clean Slate
Yet.
And Opportunity Knocks also pretty clean. I think it's PG-13 because I think, you know how PG-13 movies in the 90s, there's always that one F word they throw in there?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is one right at the end. In
Okay.
fact, I am sure because I just
And a
watched it
bum
today.
for laughs.
Not in this one, but no bums.
All right, we're getting down to our top 2. So my second lowest on my list,
Second lowest rated.
I tried to restrain myself because I love bad movies. Ironically, I love a lot of them, and I get very entertained by them. And at the end of
like
the day,
The Room.
The Room is an honorable mention forever on my list
Yes,
of these things.
Birdemic.
I didn't put it on there, those things because
Tiptoes.
they're so bad. Because I still get entertained by them,
Of course.
But I had to put on, and we teased it earlier, Batman and Robin from 1997. I actually have so much ironic fun with this movie that I end up actually really
Or is the
liking it.
soundtrack incredible?
The end is the beginning is the end is the beginning is the
so
end.
good.
They have both of them. Wait, what was the rating on this one again?
So this one was rated at 11% on the tomato meter with a 16% audience score.
That seems low for it was always a trashy superhero movie, but it seems low because the audience is usually fine with that.
Yeah, 16%. Can you believe that?
Well, granted, I mean, people have gone in after the fact
Yeah, that's true.
and written their reviews.
Oh, in case you didn't know, Batman and Robin try to keep their relationship together even as they must stop Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy from freezing Gotham City.
And Bane.
That is not how I would describe that movie, but
How would you describe that movie?
I don't know. It's not a
George
relationship
Clooney
story.
tries to be as a really good Bruce Wayne, terrible Batman.
No, he's a terrible Bruce Wayne.
He's
He's
a
a
terrible-
He is Bruce Wayne in
He
real
is
life.
not. No, he's bobblehead. I play a doctor.
I just think for me, because the fantastical design of it's so much like a cartoon, almost like an animated type thing. Not as good as the animated
What was
series.
the word?
but-
I remember watching a making of documentary of this movie or something, and they kept calling it, what was it, toyification or something?
Yeah,
I'm
Where
sure.
they kept saying, we need to make this movie, we need to do more toyification, where it's
Yeah.
like things that will make good merchandise.
Well, and that's why they changed suits so many times. I remember I had like the ice version of the Batman suit,
Yeah.
action figure. You know,
cool looking.
With bat nipples.
yeah, well, whatever.
And the Batman credit card.
What did you just call him? What did you just call Zach? He's our guest, Ken.
The Bat credit
Still,
card.
He's made some bad choices.
Uma Thurman chewing some scenery.
This is one of
Some.
the only movies where, and I think it's just because she's Poison Ivy, but I was really attracted to Uma Thurman.
Yeah,
And she's made a great Poison Ivy to me.
One of the
back
few
in day.
movies, huh?
Kill Bill.
I really,
Kill Bill for
I
sure.
liked this movie back in the day. Back in the day, I had the Batman and Robin poster. I had
Yeah.
a Batman and Robin hat. I was kind of into Batman and Robin.
I have, and it was mentioned on an episode of Baconsale, but I've listened to the soundtrack. Like, it still holds up. Very good. I don't know. I think this movie does what a movie should, in that I find it very entertaining. I do have a good time. I roll my eyes a lot and I smile while doing it.
What's your thoughts on Batgirl?
She's terrible.
I told you.
She's terrible.
But canonically,
Clueless.
to make her Alfred's niece? Is that what it is?
I think so. Well, she's supposed to be Commissioner Gordon's daughter in most things,
It
right?
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This killed Batman in film for a long time.
But it also gave us.
It made sure that Christopher Nolan,
Begins.
the former camera guy on Clean Slate, could
And
come back.
He
and
was,
bring
by the
us
way,
Batman.
Christopher Nolan was a camera operator. I actually did the research and found out what
but
he
not
did.
on Clean Slate,
Not on
just
Clean
to clear
Slate,
that
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It did also give us the platform or the base for the universe that the Batman Arkham games have. That style
Okay,
is
take
so much
it
more
easy.
I'm telling you, like the production design of the Arkham series is much more like Batman and Robin
Then the
anything
animated
else.
series?
Yeah.
I might agree with him here.
Look at the neon. Look
Having
at
watched
the,
Batman
yeah.
Returns and Batman recently, that universe, I call it the
I don't want to give it any credit, but you might be right.
Yeah.
I call it the Michael Go verse or the Pat Hingle verse. Because that's Commissioner Gordon and Alfred, and they're constant through the four of them.
It's so dumb.
But that is really Arkham. A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So again, it's not great.
Those are
I
like
enjoy
cardboard
it.
backgrounds in that movie.
Yeah. Well,
That's all it
they're
was.
painted.
Yeah.
Which they did the same thing in like Star Wars. They just did it way better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But fun. Ironically great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every part of that
Admittedly, an
movie is
ironic
bad.
choice, but
But the puns by Schwarzenegger.
So bad.
let's
Ice
kick
to-
some ice.
Yeah. Ice to see you.
I don't know. His puns just left me so cold.
No. You just cheering in the air.
Chill. Then when they couldn't find out one, they were just literally like, chill, chill.
Hey, Batman, what did the dinosaurs die of? The Ice Age. That's not a pun, Arnold. I'm going to say it anyway.
It's almost like an X-Men. What happens to a frog when it gets hit by
That's
lightning?
actually a clever
That's
line.
a stupid line.
It's a clever
It
line.
I
angers
like
me
it.
every time.
Same thing that happens.
Bacon
to
Cell
everything
approved
else.
that it's a
Bacon Cell
clever line?
approved.
He is not part of Bacon Cell approved. How
Two
dare
votes.
you?
It's
The
in.
ghost of Jake is screaming right
Fine,
now.
I get a half a vote, 1.5 to 1.
Yeah, we
Bacon
still
Cell
win.
That's
approved.
not. You need 2 votes. Oh, this is going
So
to
you're
go
saying
poorly.
nothing is going to be Bacon Cell approved until Jacob gets back from paternity leave?
Yep.
No.
he would Bacon Cell approve it just to make me mad.
Yep.
Probably so.
All right, my number 2 is wildly different from Batman and Robin. It came out in the year 2000. It got 19%. It's The Beach.
I have not seen this. This is Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
Yeah, and I'm super curious if you would like it because it's a very controversial pick.
It's
Some
Danny
people
Boyle.
love it. Danny Boyle. It's also written by Alex Garland.
Who is that?
He did Ex Machina.
Oh.
He also wrote 28 Days Later and Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's worked with Danny Boyle quite a bit. And this was Danny Boyle a couple of years after Train Spotting. He hit it big before and after. Like a couple of years after this was 28 Days Later. And then obviously Slumdog Millionaire, maybe just 8 years later. But the synopsis is, Richard travels to Thailand and finds himself in possession of a strange map. Rumors state that it leads to a solitary beach paradise, a tropical bliss. Excited and intrigued, he sets out to find it. Rotten Tomato says, critics say The Beach is unfocused and muddled, a shallow adaptation of the novel it is based on. Points go to the gorgeous cinematography, though. Okay.
Here's your trophy.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't totally adapt the book because the book is more about this pop culture buff who loves video games and Vietnam War movies.
What?
Yeah. So that's the character he's based off of. They don't really take that. And so he really is this pop culture guy, meets a crazy guy played by Robert Carlyle in a hotel. And this guy's like, there's this beach and it's magical and you need to go. And so these 4 college kids basically on a trip around the world, and they go to this mysterious island, and it's like a cult-like presence there, but it's not a scary cult. It's just like a drug-induced cult, and it's strange. But there's one point in this movie where, and it's actually the point where I decided I loved it, probably after seeing it, because after I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I like that. After seeing it again, I really liked it. There's a point where he gets a little insane because he's been in the jungle for a long time by himself. You see his point of view through a video game, because he loves video games, and it's like he's playing a video game, and there's all these militiamen out there that are trying to kill him.
Pilgrim.
It feels like Scott Pilgrim for a scene.
Okay.
And you're going, what is happening? You could die. Drugs are bad. But it's actually really creative, and it's done with Danny Boyle style, which is phenomenal. But yeah, it feels even more relevant now because this movie is kind of like these kids want to go somewhere that looks pretty to get the pictures, and they want the experience. It's like it's a movie for Instagram influencers, like basically saying like, be careful where you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I watch this one?
19%. It's a darker type movie, but not bloody, just kind of gray characters.
My number 2 is the second movie on my list to feature Tim Curry. Apparently, I like his obscure roles. This is 1991's Oscar.
Okay.
You love Oscar, don't you?
I really do.
Like, you love it.
I really do like this movie. And it's because, like, as a fan of stage productions, this is very much the one setting, characters quickly coming in,
all dialogue
out
all
of
the
doors,
time.
a very fast-paced dialogue, witty banter the whole time, mistaken identities, switched bags. Like, this is just fun for me to watch and enjoy. This does have a 63% on the audience score, so it's it got fresh by the audience.
What age did you see this first?
Oh, probably high school. High school, 10th grade.
I think I watched this when I was 11 or 12, and I was like, oh, Sylvester Stallone movie, and it's supposed to be funny. And it was too highbrow for me at that age.
It's very not Sylvester Stallone.
No.
Like, he's kind of miscast in my
Well,
opinion.
he's a good writer, just maybe not as good as translating the work.
Right. So this is, by the way, synopsis. A gangster attempts to keep the promise he made to his dying father that he would give up his life of crime and go straight. This is directed by John Landis, who did tons of stuff. American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, the thriller music video, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, Coming to America. So he has an eye for comedy. And this stars Sylvester Stallone and Tim Curry, as I mentioned, and Marissa Tomei in one of her first major film roles.
Oh, cool.
This kind of gave her start. This was made for $35 million. Like I said, it's one setting, maybe 2, and yet...
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, not a lot of...
Did it all go to Stallone, you think?
I'm betting it did, because there's no real reason for that, and it made $23 million, so it didn't even make its budget back. No. I do own this one as well, and I did watch it today as well.
You watched a lot of movies today.
Did.
Wow.
It was background bad
This
movies.
social distancing thing. Wow.
I have 4 out of the 7. I own 4 out of the 7. So this is based on the Claude Mangier stage play, and it's a remake of a 1967 French film with the same name. They changed the setting, though, and some of the characters to make it a little more humorous. They set it during kind of the Prohibition era, and it's fun to watch. It's a screwball comedy.
Yeah.
And actually, originally it was supposed to be Al Pacino. They wanted Al Pacino in this role of a gangster who's going to go straight and stop doing a life of crime. And John Landis has said it probably would have done much better had it been Al Pacino in the role. But I just really enjoy it.
So you watched it today. Does it age well?
The problem is I have such nostalgia glasses with this one. And so the lines, I can quote them by heart. Certain parts, I was working as I was, watching this in the background. And there's certain parts where I stopped just so I could look up and see the joke happen because I knew what was coming, and I still enjoyed it. I grinned ear to ear. This is probably my favorite of my 7.
So what would you give it? Your Rotten Tomato score?
My Rotten Tomato score is still going to put this probably like a 90%.
Okay.
Because I acknowledge it's got some weaknesses. Most of it in Sylvester Stallone. But
Yep.
everything else is so much fun in this movie. If you like stage plays, if you like that farcical kind of stage play type, quick witty banter, a lot of fun to watch.
Okay. Interesting choice.
Baconsale.
All right, Zach, before we give our number 1 choices, there's so many movies that have scored below 50%, but what are some of your favorite? What are some of your honorable mentions? Fly through those.
I know I had actually a pretty long list. I had some that were higher up, like in the 40% region. I'm just going to throw out a couple. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, National Treasure, another Nick Cage movie.
Wait, what did that get?
46.
Okay.
Surprisingly, right? 51st Dates I thought was really fun. The Green Hornet, I know it's stupid, but I like that movie with Seth Rogen.
You like that one?
I do. Stephen Chow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then back to the ironic thing. I like Super Mario Brothers more than I probably should.
Okay.
I know.
Take it easy.
And then Wild Wild West. I've never really understood why people totally hate it. Like, it's not great, but
Hey, Joel,
I
who
have
should we
fun.
get for our guest host next week?
And finally, A Night at the Roxbury, because I had to throw an SNL movie in there.
Nah.
Yeah.
Somebody got
I have a huge list. You ready?
Yes.
Lightning round?
Go lightning round.
Saw is 49%. Saw, the movie that catapulted all those sequels.
Wow.
And actually a movement in horror. Constantine, 46%. Karate Kid Part 2, 42%. Man on Fire, 39%. Kingdom of Heaven, 39%. Newsies, 39%.
Wow.
Newsies. Last Action Hero, 36. The Saint, 30. House on Haunted Hill, 30. Event Horizon, 27. Mighty Ducks, 23%. Joel, I'm probably giving some of yours. Red Sonja, which I really like, ironically, 15%. Curly Sue has a 13%. That movie's adorable.
Yeah, I think it's just because there weren't many reviews.
Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, has 7%. And there's a 0% I want to mention, but I don't know if Joel has it as his number one choice, so I'm going to save it. Joel, do you have honorable mentions?
I have a ton of honorable mentions. Mortal Kombat, 47%.
Mean.
Big Business, 41%. Home Alone 2, 33%. Lost in Space, 28%. Condor Man, 25%.
That makes sense.
Little Rascals, 23%. Mannequin, 22%. Ernest Scared Stupid, 17%. Dude, Where's My Car, 17%. License to Drive, 17%. Maximum Overdrive, 15%. Crocodile Dundee 11%. Dracula Dead and Loving, 11%. And Supergirl, 9%.
A lot of those are really bad, though.
Oh, they are.
yeah.
They
Really
are.
bad.
But at the same time,
Supergirl.
it's like, it's all right. Go around to number ones.
All right, Zach, what is your number one? Your lowest?
The one that you scored
Had
the
the
lowest
lowest
you still
score.
like.
It was mentioned in an honorable mention from you, Kent. My lowest scoring one that I really enjoy, Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Yeah. You get a
Jennifer Love
G.O.D.?
Hewitt.
Yeah, you know me.
I
Jennifer
sing
Love
those songs
Hewitt.
all the time.
And Lauryn Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised to
Did you
see
like
this on the
Sister
list.
Act?
I did. I actually watched it. It was my first quarantine movie I watched on Disney Plus just like a couple weeks ago. It was just going to be something I like to throw on movies with music in the background.
Okay.
And I found myself sitting down and watching it. I really liked Sister Act, and I remember I've always liked the second one too.
Remind me, in the first one, she's running away from the mob, so she goes and joins a nunnery.
Yes.
What's the premise of the second one?
I
remember
They're trying to help
they basically call her in as a ringer.
rough kids, basically, as rough kids were coming in, and so she had to teach choir.
It's Dangerous Minds?
yeah.
Yeah, because they're in
Why is she a nun
school,
then?
a high school. They're just
Because everyone
Why
needs to
is
go to
she a
Catholic
nun?
school. She's a Catholic nun still.
You got to connect with the kids, you know.
What, by being a nun?
Yeah. Well, that's the only reason the only way she could get access.
Okay.
And Back in the Habit is a really clever title.
It is.
So the synopsis is, showgirl Dolores Van Cartier returns to Sister Mary Clarence to teach music to a group of Catholic students whose rundown school is slated for closure.
It's starring
So-
Whoopi Goldberg, Kathy Najimy, and
Kathy Najimy in this
Dame
role.
Maggie Smith.
Oh, yeah, Dame Maggie Smith
There
is
we
in
go.
this one.
So,
I always thought the ginger nun was pretty cute.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
the mousy
the
one?
quiet one. Yeah.
This was one where...
The ginger nun.
So my kids... Okay, so you know when the Disney Plus came out with the big long video of all the things that were going to be on Disney Plus? It was like 3 hours long,
3 hour
just
trailer.
like clips
Yeah.
of movies with titles. So we decided as a family, we were talking about Disney Plus, we watched it in parts as a family just because I was like making notes. And I started making jokes when I didn't know what the movie was. Like we put a paper up so you couldn't see what the movie was because I was seeing how many I could guess.
Yeah.
To entertain the kids. And I'd make up names. And I saw Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit. And then it became every time I didn't know what it was, I'd be like, Dog Boy, Back in the Habit. And Kid Falls Down, Back in the Habit.
It's your Electric Boogaloo.
To the point where my
Dad,
kids...
you know every movie.
My kids thought I was just being funny, so they started saying Back in the Habit on everything too. And then when they saw there was an actual movie called Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit,
Yeah.
they freaked out.
Did you watch it?
Not yet. We have to watch Sister Act 1 first.
Oh, yeah, you do.
So maybe we should do that.
So good.
I think this movie's good. I like it a lot.
And what was
It's a
the
good
rating
movie.
again?
It got a 7%.
And-
61 for the audience, but 7% on the tomato meter.
That is a straight up 73% movie for me.
Yeah.
From memory, I'm going to give it about a 63%.
I'm like right at 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kent?
I like it.
He did a 7% one, Kent. What's yours?
0.
You have a 0%er?
I have a 0%er.
You win.
Did we match on 0%ers?
I don't think we did.
Okay.
Because this one,
Because you can't finger boop.
you will know why I like this so much. And it is one that I have seen more than most movies I've ever seen, because as a child, this is one in the franchise that I went to more than the original. It came out in 1987.
Yep.
Crap.
And it's Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh.
You have a 1987 movie as well?
I have a 0% 1987 movie.
Chief Brody's widow believes that her family is deliberately being targeted by another shark in search of revenge.
Jaws: The Revenge, Kent?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you.
You've revisited this more than others in the franchise?
When I was a kid, there were movies that I watched like probably every other week. And so I had 3 sisters, and so I watched like Girls Just Want to Have Fun all the time.
Right.
I watched Neverending Story all the time, and I watched Jaws of the Revenge all of the
why
time.
that one?
Jaws 3D is cool, but it's a little bit scary because there's like the deaths in
Every
it.
Jaws movie is scary.
But this one I could handle because Jaws growls.
that doesn't make sense.
Actually, no.
That doesn't make sense.
So to kill Jaws, spoiler alert for Jaws: The Revenge, they throw like this sonar bomb on him, and every time they flash the bomb, it's like a flash grenade. He jumps out of the water and he goes, "Argh!" And you're
He
like,
turns into Colossus from the X-Men arcade game.
good reference. And you're like, sharks shouldn't be able to growl. Let me break down the story for this one. So one of the Brody boys, remember there's 2 Brody sons in the movie, okay? And they're grown up.
And
they both worked at SeaWorld in the previous movie.
Yeah.
And one of them was Dennis Quaid.
Oh my gosh.
They've been recast.
Because the shark has a vendetta against the bloodline of the Brodies.
Every shark dies, but it's a family member. It's like a Mama Jaws, Baby Jaws. Yeah. So one of the Brody boys...
I knew it.
One of the Brody boys is working back in Amity, and he is killed by Jaws in an act of retaliation. Jaws kills him, the new Jaws, in an act of retaliation. So Ellen goes to find her other son, who is in the Bahamas, and his job is he collects conch snails. And so...
Conch snails?
Snails. It says snails on the site. I think it's shells. That's what happens when you copy and paste.
Yeah.
And so she goes down there. She says, like, you can't get in the water anymore. Jaws is going to find us. Remember, they were in Amity. The shark with the vendetta was in Amity.
Which is up in, like, New England.
Yes. And she goes to the Bahamas where her son is. And she says, you got to watch out. It just killed your brother. And so Jaws does come down there. And they said, there will never be a shark. It's too warm. Jaws does find him and starts eating everyone around them.
Including Michael Caine.
And so Michael Caine, he actually forms a relationship with Ellen Brody in this one. His name is Hoagie. And yeah,
He flies a plane.
And Jaws also goes after the remaining son's daughter when she's on a little banana boat, which is a really terrifying scene, like a banana tube. And he goes after her daughter. Like, Jaws can smell family relations.
Thousands of miles away.
Thousands of miles away. This movie made $52 million. So it did make a profit. And yeah, it was directed by a guy named Joseph Sargent, and he did a lot of TV, like original series Star Trek, The Fugitive, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Lassie, Gunsmoke. And I think this is probably one of his last film projects because this movie was so universally panned. Michael Caine lost his career for a while after this one, jokes about it now. Mm-hmm. I watched this one so much. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying I have loved this movie. It needs to be seen because it's so ridiculous.
Oh, man. Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws 4.
Yeah, Jaws 4. Killed the franchise forever. Forever.
2's kind of forgotten in the mix, isn't it?
Well, 2 is just kind of a redo of 1.
Yeah.
And then 3 is actually kind of cool, but the effects are really bad, and the whole SeaWorld tie-in.
Yeah. It's kind of bad.
Pretty cheesy. But Jaws: The Revenge.
Okay.
It's like John Wick, but it's Jaws Wick.
So it's
Jaws-wick.
It's funny, Kent, that you chose the 4th installment in the franchise.
Oh, no.
Because I'm also picking a 4th installment in the franchise. 1987, 0%. Police Academy 4, Citizens on
Patrol. COP.
Citizens on Patrol. 38% audience review.
I thought you were going to pick Rad, which also has a 0%.
Oh, I love Rad.
Rad's so good, 0%.
I don't know. Man, I didn't even see it on the list.
Yeah, okay. So Citizens on Patrol.
The synopsis. The Misfit Police Academy graduates are now assigned to train a group of civilian volunteers to fight crime, once again plaguing the streets. And I venture to say, gentlemen, this is the most it's the most successful film on my list monetarily.
Is the cast better?
I'm guessing it's probably the most successful monetarily. Hook, maybe not. How much did that make? Do you know?
Batman v Superman.
So
made
this had a
almost
budget
$900 million.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. But $17 million is what this budget was. Most expensive Police Academy movie. And it made $76.8 million.
Wow.
There's a reason they keep making these movies. Steve Guttenberg obviously is Mahoney, Bubba Smith, Michael Winslow, like the usual gang. But also you get like Sharon Stone's in this. David Spade is in this.
Yeah.
It's a little bizarre. And this, I think the reason I like this one is because this was my first exposure to the Police Academy world. I remember we had Citizens on Patrol. We watched it pretty regularly. I thought it was hilarious how Hooks would talk soft the whole time and then be really loud at the end.
Right.
And Tackleberry obsessed with guns and Bobcat Goldthwait
always screaming.
Just screaming, "Look out for that plane!" Sorry.
It's pretty good. Do you think this is the kind of movie that would come out now, like a Playing with Fire, that you'd be like, they're just making dumb movies for our kids? Do you think that was the kind of movie? Because each of these movies was panned back in the day.
But they all did bank. They kept making money.
I know, but we would hate these movies coming out now. We'd be like, it's terribly made. What audience is this for?
And it's the fourth in a comedy franchise.
Yeah.
We've said a number of times on Baconsale, and I believe it's true. Comedies really shouldn't have sequels because they're usually just terrible because it's the same tired jokes.
Right.
And this was one, though, where it worked. I mean, just listen to this. I want to just read this part. It's talking about the plot of the movie. So a little bit of a spoiler alert here for Police Academy 4. Proctor, who's like the bad guy's lackey.
Yeah, like the deputy, basically.
Proctor messes up and is tricked into releasing every inmate at the Precinct 19 jail, including a team of ninjas. It has ninjas in it, Kent.
I mean, it's the fourth one. I mean, they should have got there by number 3.
Yeah. This debuted at number 1 at the box office, by the way. And the film was nominated for a Golden Raspberry for Worst Original Song for Let's Go to Heaven in My Car by Brian Wilson.
Wow.
From the Beach Boys.
Is that when the years when you lost it?
Including the lyrics. I just want to read this. And I read into it if you want. Let's go to heaven in my car. I want to drive you there tonight. Let's go to heaven in my car. We won't be stopping for red lights. He's going to straight up murder you. That's what he's saying. This is vehicular homicide.
Yep.
That's a little bit dirtier, but that's fine.
Well, it definitely is that.
Yeah.
It's definitely, if you listen to the rest of the lyrics.
Also,
Kent,
these Police Academy movies, they're a little dirty.
They are
they
surprisingly.
totally are.
Yeah.
They totally are. Like this.
But it's like Guilty Laughs with your cousins. Let's watch Police Academy 4.
So naughty. But the thing is, remember, like Police Academy 1 was like rated R.
Yeah.
And then Police Academy 2 and 3 were both PG-13. This was PG. And so I'm pretty
But
sure
it's
it was
80s PG, which means there's nudity.
Well, not exactly.
Pornography guaranteed is what PG means back in the 80s.
But this is one. I know it's dumb. I know it's stupid. And really, it's not a good movie. It's a 0% movie, and it probably deserves that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
But I gotta give it, like, I don't know.
It's like a badge of honor, though.
66%.
Oh, stop it. It's a 0. Keep it at 0. It's worth it.
In regard to liking it, though, this is probably about 66 for me.
Yeah.
66%, we'll say that.
What a great choice.
So, wow, we both got a 0 in there, can't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
Proud of you.
There you go. There's our list. If you know of really bad movies that scored low on Rotten Tomatoes, go ahead and confess. Confess and let us know on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. Let us know what your favorite, lowest ranked Rotten Tomatoes movies are. It could be one we already mentioned already. We'd love to find new. It's like Rad. I probably would have put that on my list
Rad
had
is awesome.
I seen it on there.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to find them. But let us know what you think. And before we go, we'd like to give some love to our patrons, specifically the I Am the Listener tier, which includes Adrian Gray, Stephen Ross, Terry Finley, Crew Duttler, Braden Winterton, Chris Trout, Colton Cook, Jennifer Kukowski, Sean Sanquist, and disappointing Joel Weekly. It's a more civilized podcast. And then we have our Bacon Council, which includes Matt Smudro, Ryan Farron, Chris Anderson, Nicole D. Hale, and Reverse Listener. Thank you for being patrons. If you don't know what patrons are, you go to patreon.com/baconsale. You'll get some extra content. We just did a little kind of a COVID-19 discussion on our last Bacon bit, so patrons got to hear that. And then we have also just video reviews. A couple of my kids gave a review of Batman Returns recently.
That was good.
So, it's a lot of fun stuff there on you can find it at patreon.com/baconsale. Give it a look.
And while we're talking about that, I want to just throw out there, first of all, thank you very much for having me. But I haven't forgotten about our friend Jake. What I'd like you to do, go ahead and visit tpublic.com/baconsale. Get yourself a Team Jake shirt. Why not?
No, I don't like that plug. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midville Performing Arts Center, or they will as soon as everything settles down. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, at ShowtimeShowdown.com. Now, Zach, we would like you to plug yourself here. You will probably be back.
Oh, thank you.
Although the choices you made tonight.
Set me up to fail.
Yeah, but feel free. Lay out a plug there, and we're making you do the outro as well.
Well, thank you. You can find me on social medias at Tumbling Mustard. That's at Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It's a good time. And may I also just throw out there, make sure you're following Baconsale on social media. That's at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you so much again, guys, for having me. I sincerely appreciate it. But hey, guys, even though it may not be great, we really like it. So join us next time for Baconsale Part 2, Back in the Habit. Hey, Zach, welcome to the show. Let's hear about all the bad movies that you like so people can judge you about it.
Oh, who's hipster now?
I'm not hipster. I just have bad taste in movies, apparently.
Well, we knew that. Facial hair makes a difference.
It's exactly the same as Grease 1, but gender swap.
Is this like Styles in the Teen Wolf movies? He always has to follow the action?
Oh, it's not good.
Well, okay.
And I love it and have it on DVD.
Most of our listener is Grease 1 fans.
We have Christina Ricci in this movie, which is never a bad thing.
That's me. That's my Jake.
It's a good Jake.
Yeah, you sounded just like him.
Stop me, Smee. Don't stop me now, Smee. Don't stop me. Stop me.
There you are.
There you are,
Welcome
Peter.
back to Neverland, Pant the Man.
The children were screaming.
Was someone on cocaine when writing that?
Probably. On a scale of 1 to 10. It's a movie of blondes
All the cars had girl names.
with blonde
yeah.
hair.
I'm a little tired. I'm a little wired. Yeah, I feel that. I get you, Nick Cage.
How dare you! This is the best thing ever written! No, excuse me. He directed the making of Back to the Future.
Well, they all know a dance at the end.
Check out fresh nose squeezing juice. Ow, buddy.
We basically had 3 movies. I don't remember the third one. It's not good, but I like it. I have quite a mouth.
You had a lot of crushes in the early 90s.
Did.
Yeah.
So I really did.
And a bum for laughs.
Not in this one, but no bums.
Yeah.
I call it the Michael Go verse or the Pat Hingle verse. Batman, what did the dinosaurs die of? The Ice Age. That's not a pun, Arnold. I'm going to say it anyway.
How
2
dare
votes.
you?
It's
The
in.
ghost of Jake is screaming. You could die. Drugs are bad. I always thought the ginger nun was pretty cute. This one I could handle because Jaws growls. And you're
He
like,
turns into the Colossus from the X-Men arcade game.
Jaws can smell family relations. It's like John Wick, but it's Jaws Wick. Cancel the apocalypse.
Ray.
Pardon me, is everybody here? Because if everybody's here, I want to thank you all for coming to the wedding. I'd appreciate you going even more. I mean, you must have lots of better things to do and not a word of it to Paul.
Oh,
Paul,
it's
another man. I'm going to marry
theater
Brenda
kid.
Marcus. Okay.